are listening to the Retina UK Talking Tech Peer Support Group meeting recorded Thursday, the 29th of August 2024.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Talking Tech Peer Support Group meeting from Retina UK. My name is Mark Baxter. I'm the Information Support Coordinator. I really do appreciate you all joining us on this Thursday evening. This evening, we're going to be talking about technology that we can utilize in and around the kitchen to help us be more confident and empower us to cook and bake independently using the technology around us. The reason I chose this topic is next month is National Cooking Day on the 25th of September, and we will be following the theme with our national autumn meeting, where we are going to be joined by Gwyneth Boys, who is known as the Blind Baker. She's going to be talking about what inspires her to cook and bake, and also the online show that she does do as well. So she's going to be talking about how she got into cooking, why she likes cooking as a VI individual. So if you can join us for that one, more details will be available on our peer group page very soon. I'm going to hand over to Ross Megan from the RNIB. We've been chatting this week about some of the technology that he has used and some of the technology that you may be able to find on the RNIB shop website. So thank you so much, Ross, for sharing your expertise, both professionally and your personal interests in technology around the kitchen. It's very, very much appreciated. So over to yourself, and thanks again for joining us.
No worries. Evening, Mark. Evening, everyone. I guess I should start, by just saying, first and foremost, I'm a customer, I'm a user of services that RNIB provides, and obviously Retina UK provides. Despite the fact that in my day job, I do work for the RNIB, but first and foremost, I'm severely sight impaired. Have been for as long as I can remember, really. So yeah, first and foremost, I'm a user of these services, and that's why I wanted to come on this call and talk about some of the assistive technology that I've used in the kitchen. So for me, it was I moved in. The first time I moved out of my family home was during the pandemic, when I moved in with my partner, and making that adjustment in the kitchen in particular, because I'm the main chef in my house. Not that I'd call myself a chef, but so it was quite an adjustment in learning how to do these things independently and without help. So I consider myself quite a technology buff. The inside of my house kind of looks a little bit like Curry's, but it's always been an interest of mine. And so any gadgets and assistive equipment that could help me in the kitchen was it was something I was always keen to explore. So I'm just going to run through some things that I've used in the kitchen before and currently use, and also I'll mention a few things as well that are available sort of on the RNIB shop and elsewhere, because there is so much out there, and it feels like there's more and more every single year. Every time I think I check on the RNIB shop or whatever the online shop might be for assistive equipment, it just feels like there's more and more all the time. So in terms of what I've used in the kitchen and what I still use, I'll go through each of these things, and I'll explain what each of them is for, just in case there are people that aren't aware. First up is a liquid level indicator, which is a little device that sort of hooks onto the end of a glass, and it's sort of really designed to stop you from spilling over, really, like if you're pouring from a hot kettle or a bottle of juice or something. When you pour the liquid up to the base of the liquid level indicator, it will start sort of beeping and vibrating, or at least mine does. You can get some that just vibrate. Mine beeps and vibrates. And then once you continue pouring, and if you like right near the top of the glass about to overflow, that vibration and that beeping will become more intense, just sort of letting please stop, otherwise you're gonna have to be doing a cleanup operation. And And that was probably the first thing I ever started using in the kitchen, to be honest. And it's magnetized, it sits on the fridge, and it's just a easy little thing to grab whenever needed. Um, in terms of sort of talking equipment, obviously, for all of us, audio is probably the easiest way for us to consume a lot of information. So two things that I found very useful have been a talking thermometer and a talking weighing scale. Thermometer, first off, does what it says on the tin. And I've found that particularly useful for when I'm boiling water, for example. If anyone's like me and they love blasting music in the kitchen whilst they're cooking, that obviously takes away somewhat that ability to hear when the water's boiled. So having a clear, loud, audible feedback from the thermometer of exactly what degrees the water is sort of really useful, and it's sort of large print as well. So if you do have some useful vision, yeah, a talking thermometer can be good for that too. And the weighing scales, to be honest, those are one gadget that even my partner finds brilliant, because you can choose whether you're weighing liquids or solids. You can choose from milliliters, grams, and ounces, and it just works really easily. Again, it's got a large print display. Pop your jug on it, and as you would expect, it just speaks the amount that's in the jug or whatever you're putting your liquids or solids into. It just speaks it every few seconds. It just makes it really easy to do those kinds of things, particularly if you're a baker, for example. As my screen reader just starts jabbering away, I think my phone thought I asked for Bixby. So yeah, moving on. That threw me off a little bit. I also recently, in the last couple of months, bought, I forget what the exact name for this little thing is, but it's like a little metal disc that sits in the bottom of a pan. And again, it's something that can support with knowing when water is boiled. So when the water is boiled, this little disc that's sitting at the bottom of the pan will start vibrating. Again, just a different way of alerting you to that fact that your water's ready to use. And in particular, just one more thing actually on that is bump on stickers, which again, for those that have not used them before, they're just essentially little small round sticky dots that you could, for example, stick to the 200 degrees. I've just heard a comment that said I have no video on, and I hope that is okay for people. I don't like subjecting people to my video, and I'm in quite a dark room because of it's just helpful for my level of vision. It just doesn't look good. So just to explain that. Yeah, the bump on stickers are just essentially little round circles that, for example, might stick onto the 200 degrees, or you might put it on your microwave to the the setting you use most often or the time you use most often. It's just again a way of helping when you've twisted the knob to that certain point. Just an easy tactile marker that just makes it much simpler to do those tasks that otherwise you might be sat in front of the oven as I have before, trying to squint to make sure you've got it in the right place. And just lastly, in more recent years, as technology has evolved, two things I found myself using more and more is one, my smartphone, and two, smart speakers that are in the kitchen. Firstly, with the speaker, I have one of the Google Nest display things. Obviously the visual aspect of it is not much use to me, but audibly, being able to ask and set timers that way and check how long I've got left on my timer, and asking Google for cooking tips or recipes, or just even if you have a package that you can't clearly read and want to find cooking instructions, it's not always the most reliable method, but sometimes Google, the Google Home devices or Alexa can find that information from the internet for you. And sort of secondly, and more recently, is sort of my smartphone. Historically, a few years ago, I would commonly just take a picture of something and try and pinch and zoom, but it wasn't a very efficient use of my time because I often struggled to find cooking instructions that way. But in the last year or so, ever since AI has entered all of our lives and taken over all of our lives in some ways, it's that's become one of the biggest helps for me in the kitchen, particularly the app Be My AI, which, in case anybody hasn't used that, it's essentially a feature whereby you can take a picture with your camera and AI will scan it and it will tell you the information in that picture. So I found it most useful. If I just snap a picture of the back of a food product, a few seconds later it's telling me the cooking instructions, which I've never been able to find that information as quickly before. And it's just all these little things that I guess shortcuts that we all learn to use that just make things that little quicker rather than the usual that can be the case for a lot of us. It's taking a lot longer to achieve something that a fully sighted person might be able to do really quickly. So yeah, AI has been sort of a massive help, and obviously that's only going to get probably even better in the future. So that's sort of my gadgets and equipment and software that I use in the kitchen quite regularly. But just in terms of what else is available out there, because honestly, what I've mentioned is not even scratching the surface, really. As Mark mentioned, I do work for the RNIB, but my day job, I don't work for the retail side of things. So I'm just, again, first and foremost a user of these products and a user of these services, and just sort of an interested party. But yeah, I do work for the RNIB, so if there are any questions about any of these things, I'd be happy to try and find answers for people. But just a few of the examples of the sorts of stuff you could get that I haven't mentioned. Talking microwave is a big one, obviously, quite pricey, which is why I have never used one. But again, it's a great way to getting that audio feedback onto an appliance. You can get things like talking tins, which sort of allow you to record a 40-second clip. So, for example, if you've got, I don't know, beans in it or soup in it, you can record a clip explaining to yourself what's in the tin and I suppose how you prepare it, whatever the message might be. And, it's just a case of, that tin could sit wherever it needs to, and you press a button and listen to that message back so you know what's in your tin. You can also get sort of appliances that support that are designed to support people who have more than just sight impairment. For example, there's an adjustable bread slicing guide is one. If you're working with bread a lot, maybe you're a bit of a baker, then that is one that's sort of designed for people who might have challenges with mobility as well as sight. You can get high contrast sort of plate surrounds, which sort of sit around your plate and sort of keep it in place. Again, just helping with that contrast and seeing where your plate is and making sure it doesn't zoom off somewhere across the table. You can get elbow length gloves, or gloves that are even longer than that, again for just getting things out of the oven as safe as possible. I'm sure we've all had the odd burn every now and again. I know I have, so I could probably do with those, to be fair. You can get an anti-spill mugs that have sort of a suction cup on them, and the way that works is the suction cup on the bottom of the mug, it will keep it stuck quite tight to a surface, and the way that you release it is by lifting the mug by the handle. Just a really smart way of preventing mugs from being knocked over, which again is probably one that we've all done. You can get measuring jugs that have sort of braille on them. Again, it's not just about large print and audio feedback. Obviously, braille is something that a lot of people still use. So if you wanted a measuring jug that allows you to measure things by touch, then that is possible as well. And again, one of the more pricier options is you can get worktop hobs that have tactile and audio feedback on them. So whenever you're setting the temperature on your hob and getting it going, it can provide that audio feedback of what temperature you're working with. And it also has like safety features as well, whereby the hob will turn itself off immediately as soon as a pan is removed. So just another example of larger appliance, I suppose, that can be made accessible in the kitchen. And again, those are probably just a handful of products that are on the R&IB shop. I'll reiterate that that's just scratching the surface. Really, there's so much more that's available. I'm sure, myself or Mike will pop a link in the chat to the R&IB shop in case anyone wants to have a look. But I did just want to sort of close with, I know I've sort of banged on a little bit about the R&IB selling these things, but obviously there are other shops out there as well. For example, for talking measuring jugs, I know I've seen them on Amazon before. So sometimes it can just be a case of shopping around and just trying to find the best deals or whatever appliance or gadget works best for you. And obviously, it's 2024. You can't go on any website these days without there being a section for smart Wi-Fi enabled appliances. And if you wanted, oven, microwave, air fryer, whatever it might be, there's probably a version of it that's Wi-Fi enabled. Even Wi-Fi enabled kettle is one I've come across before that does sound great, to be fair. I'd just probably round off actually, just mentioning a kettle. Another thing that I use, it's not necessarily an adjustment designed for visually impaired people, but instead of a traditional kettle, I use a hot water dispenser that just boils the water and shoots it out into your mug itself, rather than for example, me having to potentially struggle with a kettle full of boiling water. Again, there are sometimes adjustments that we can make that aren't necessarily designed for people who are visually impaired. It's maybe just an easier way of achieving that task. But no, that probably rounds off everything I wanted to cover. I don't know unless there's anything else, Mark, but if not, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very, very much, Ross. I really do appreciate you sharing your experience with technology. There's some really, really useful gadgets that you've mentioned, and appliances and technology. We will be putting the links in. I've actually done a search on, and Caroline's assisting with a search for that microwave. And we can share exactly where you can get that from, who it's made by. Again, they are quite pricey, so please shop around to see where you can get the best deals, or wait until there are offers on, so you can get this fantastic technology at a good valued price. And please share your reviews, so if something does work for you, then please share your reviews, what you think of it, and we'll also share that out as well, what works, what doesn't. So yeah, if anybody has got any questions for Ross regarding the tech that he's used and mentioned in his talk, or any that you would like to share, either put your hand up or I'll pop it in the comments box, and we'll start doing a bit of a Q&A. Has anyone got their hand up? No. Jump in. Pardon? Does anyone like to jump in? Has anybody used anything or does use anything in the kitchen that we haven't mentioned that you feel does work really well for you?
Hello, yeah, it's Rita here. I can't find how to raise my hand.
Okay, no worries.
But I did just want to say, yeah, the long sleeve gloves are excellent, and I've got a talking induction hob from Cobalt, but I do find it a bit fierce. You have to learn to not start it too high, or you never get the water turned down enough. But I also wanted to ask, does anybody know anything about, could you get a talking fridge thermometer?
Fridge thermometer, that's a very good question.
No, but I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find one so far, so if anybody knows of one.
Okay, we can do a little bit of a search for you, and if we find anything, is it just for a standard? I know the American fridge freezers that have the display on them have obviously a an LCD display that tells you what your fridge is and what your freezer is usually set up, but most of them just have the dial at the back that basically says, you know, it's set to 1 or it's set to 5, but it doesn't actually tell you how cold things are, obviously, if you want to store something at a particular temperature. But I do know you can get a normal digital thermometer, and that you could just put anywhere regardless, and I think they go up to about 50 degrees or even hotter. You know, you have them in your garden, and you can also get ones that work via Wi-Fi as well, so you can set it wherever you want it, and then you can record the temperature through the app that you actually download with it, and I think you can actually get them on Amazon. So I can have a little look for you if you wish. And
yes,
pop
that would be
in.
great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Did someone else have a question as
Yeah,
well?
quick question, please. It's Mum here. Nice for a while. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, great. Yeah, it was the water dispenser. Sounded really good. I've never heard of anything like that. Instead of using a kettle, I was just wondering, where can you buy something like that?
So I got mine. I'm trying to think back 5 years, but I'm pretty sure it was from Argos. It's called well, the one I got was called like a 1 cup hot water dispenser. So I guess if you just search for, you know, 1 cup ONECUP hot water dispenser, then I'm sure you'd find it. But no, it was one that must have been, you know, when I was young and lived back at home and the kettle broke, and you know, my mum sort of came home with this thing, and you know, I thought it was great at the time. That I was like, you know, when I eventually move out, which I did, I was like, I decided that I wanted one of those as well, because it's just, yeah, absolutely fantastic.
That sounds cool. Thank you. Can I just ask one quick question? Another question, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go.
A bonus question, sorry. So it was just the weighing kitchen scales. I've never bought talking kitchen scales, but I've been thinking about it for ages. And so I was really interested in that. I didn't realize RNIB actually sold them. I actually thought they were sold by Cobalt. So just wondering if they're different, and if anyone knows, either yourself, Ross, or anybody. Because I'm the kind of person who likes to look around, you know, shop around. So just wondering, is it the same as the one that the Cobalt sell, Cobalt systems, or is it different? Yeah. If they are different, what's the main kind of differences? Thank you.
I can't personally speak to whether they're different, because I've just used the RNIB one. But speaking of the, you know, the one I have, it sort of has the main base plate, which is battery powered. It has like a large print LCD display on it, and then you've got a button on the right which is for power on and power off, and to sort of reset the weight to 0. Then you have a button on the left which toggles between what you're weighing, essentially. And then the jug itself is sort of large print, sort of, and has like a tactile handle on it as well, which is sort of easier to grip. I don't know whether if anybody's used the other one you referenced there, and whether they can speak to that.
I have
Thank you.
sorry, I have the RMIB. I've got the measuring scales for doing grams and ounces, and you can switch between metric and imperial. But what I have bought all from Cobalt is the measuring jug. It's a talking measuring liquid jug, and you can measure quite accurately milliliters. I think it's only got milliliters, but you can set it between oil, water, and milk, because they're obviously different densities when you are cooking and you're baking. So, you know, if you've got a measuring jug and you can't see what's on it, you can actually pour whatever you're into this. And what it does is it quite accurately weighs the water and then tells you how much water is in the measuring jug. And when I bench test it, you know, it was pretty accurate to, you know, 1 or 2 millimeters. So that would be an ideal investment if you like to cook and you like, especially baking, especially for things like baking. That was from Cobalt, that one. But my measuring scales that do weights were from RNIB. And Caroline's actually looking to see whether they are The scales from RNIB and Cobalt are one of the same. The talking microwave is from Cobalt.
I'll find that in a minute.
Yeah.
Steve's got
Hi,
it.
it's Tash. I have something
Oh, go on,
to
Tash.
share if I can.
Yeah.
So I've got something to share and then something to ask. So I live in London. I don't know if anyone else here does or lives nearby, but there's a charity called Blind Aid, and they run a 16-week cooking course for visually impaired and blind people, and I did it this year, and it was amazing. You do it once a week on a Friday. It lasts 2 hours. It's in a small group. You cook different dishes every time, and they email you the recipes, or they'll give you the recipes in whatever format you want, so you can practice cooking them at home in your free time after the course is over, or just in your free time during the course. And we use quite a few different like assistive equipment, like the talking scales, which I'd never even heard of until I did the course. And I love them. They're so useful. Like all my family who are sighted, they love using them as well. They prefer them over, you know, just using normal scales. So that's something to like look up if anyone lives in London or around London. It's totally free, and the lady who runs it's lovely. And then my question is about like any YouTube channels or websites that are good for cooking as a blind person, so like I could cook along and like pause the videos so I don't have to be getting my phone out constantly to read a recipe. Like I like cooking that way. If anyone knows of any websites or people that make videos on YouTube that are useful for cooking with sight loss.
For a YouTuber, Tash, it's Ross again, and I think
Yeah.
Mark, you probably might know of someone as well, like the guest that you reference for next month. But the person I've known and spoken with before is called Kim J. And I believe her YouTube channel is called Kim J Cooks. So it's Kim and then J is Jaye. And yeah, I know at least. I don't know if she still does videos, but I know she did at least used to upload quite a lot, and she's absolutely a fantastic chef and a great person as well. So I'd recommend Kim J Cooks on YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
The lady that I mentioned was Gwyneth Boys, and she's based up in Newcastle, and she is known as the Blind Baker. She's actually living with retinitis pigmentosa, and I do believe she does a lot via a Facebook page, and also her I think she's got something on YouTube that she mentioned to me, and she will be talking about that next month, you know. And if anybody is around the Newcastle area, she will be providing the catering for the Tyne and Wear / Northern Alliance peer support group meeting in person on the 12th of October. So if anybody is around the Newcastle area that would like to sample and meet a blind chef, you know, and share your experiences and learn from her, then I would definitely recommend popping along and saying hello. And we've tried her food, and it's very, very nice. So she's a wonderful chef.
Oh, amazing! Thank you.
Yeah.
And we had
no, just
oh,
noticed.
sorry. Oh, sorry, it broke up there. Did you have a question?
It wasn't a question. It was following on. It was something that I use in the kitchen. I use a soup chef, and it's especially useful in winter to create soup. I just whatever veg I put in, I can just throw it all in with some liquid and the one of the little cubes that you put in, and within 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you've got a huge pan of soup. I'll have one bowl and the other I will cool down and put in my freezer. So I just find it's a really useful thing. It's dead easy to use. It's just a swipe. Mine is one that you just swipe on the top to get it used, but there are ones that have got knobs on the top, like with an air fryer. But I just find it really, really good to use, especially in winter.
Oh, excellent. Okay. We'll we've the soup chef. We'll find where you can purchase that, and we'll add that to the list of appliances that people can use. So thank you very much, Mosey, for that. I really do appreciate your bit of tech advice. I think we had
Yeah, Steve's got his hand
Steve's
up.
got his hand up,
Yeah, and then Pam.
and then Perm after that.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah, we've got the Breville 1 cup water heater, and you can adjust that to how much liquid you want to come out depending on the size of the cup. We got ours from Amazon, so that's Breville water dispenser.
Excellent, Breville. So we'll add that into the comments as well, and also that will go into the follow-up email as well. So I think Breville do a full range of the there was a few from Argos and also Amazon, depending obviously the volume that you want to heat up and any other features that you might want as well. So thanks very much, Steve.
Okay, no problem.
It's can I jump in a minute? It's
No,
Paul.
sorry, sorry, one moment, Paul. Perm's got
Sorry, yeah.
a hand up. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Okay.
Perm.
Hi, Mark. How
Question.
you doing,
Hiya.
everybody? I just wanted to ask, there's a couple of things. I actually work for a local sight loss charity. I've just delivered at Kitchen Skills. It's not teaching you how to cook, it's teaching you to be safe. But the biggest thing that has always come up is using knives and chopping techniques. So is there any advice from the group? Which are the best ways to actually chop your veg, and which actually the knives to use? And the other question is, Cobalt do an actually talking air fryer. And if we buy things from other retailers such as Argos and Amazon, they charge VAT. So again, the costings for specialist equipment for us is quite high. But are there any other companies that don't charge the VAT, or is there anything that can be done in the future?
It's a good question. Has anybody got any tips or hints to be able to chop up vegetables and slicing things straight like bread, as Ross mentioned, or cheese, so you don't get doorstops in your sandwich? Has anybody got any advice or anything? I do know about the VAT, and I think there are any accessibility retailer, you should be able to get VAT free if it is assistive technology, but check with the retailer first, and we'll pop a couple in at the follow-up, including their telephone numbers and email addresses as well. Does anybody have any tips around cutting or chopping?
Barbara's got a hand up.
Oh, Barbara's got a hand up. Hi, Barbara.
Hi there. I don't know whether they still.
Oh,
it's all right. I was pressing the space bar and it was going crazy, so I've just done alt A. I don't know whether they're still around, but there used to be knives that you could get from the RNIB that had a guard on it that would measure.
They don't do them anymore.
They don't, do they?
They don't do any knife. I did ask. Thank you. Yeah.
And going back to the scales, I've got a new set recently because the others, after about 30 years, had weighed too many things. I found that Cobalt actually were cheaper than elsewhere. So if that's any help to anybody.
Yeah, thank you.
And one bit of anyone got any advice about when you're baking, please, and when you're putting your cake mixture in a tin to try and get it level? It's something I've been struggling with for years. Somebody once said to me, "Oh, just let it settle."
Yeah.
But if you leave it to settle, it'll be as flat as a pancake and
Right.
lose all the air, and it'll be no good for cooking after that. So any suggestions would be greatly
I think most
appreciated.
people use a spatula, but that's only good if you're actually a sighted person. personally,
Exactly,
me,
Mark.
Barbara, I'd end up using a plasterer's trowel or something like that. My DIY head will come in, and I'll go to my toolbox and I'll find a cement trowel or something like that. But that probably won't really work in the kitchen, will it? Have we got any bakers joining us this evening that cook, especially like things like your Victoria sponge, which is probably an ideal cake where you need to get things level. Does anybody have any?
I would say that you could generally, like, slowly and lightly just tap it on the surface that it's on, which will just like move the mixture around. It will make it even.
Yeah,
but that's what I would do.
I think sometimes
But
it
yeah, I
could
don't
be.
know.
It could be
Sometimes it works,
technique.
sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it depends how thick your mixture is,
Yeah.
you know, or
Yeah.
another possibility is pouring it towards the edge and then rotate your tin around in a spiral, going from outside to in. Maybe
that's a
that
thought.
might help keep things level.
Yeah.
I think sometimes if there's no technology, I think sometimes we use our initiative, we think outside the box, and we think, okay, well, that doesn't work, or I can't buy something to help me fix this issue, you know. So let's see what other ways we can do it. It might be a messy process. You might have more cake around your cake mixture around your worktop and down your front of your dishwasher than you would actually in your cake tin. But sometimes it's trial and error, you know. And if anybody does have any ideas, you know, please drop us an email of how you think something could be done, and we'd be more than happy to share it.
No problem with sort of Christmas cake mixture, because it's nice and good and thick, so that the basic hand, that's brilliant. You can level it, and then you can sort of do a thumb level up, say, from the top of the mixture to the top of the cake tin. But as you say, with Victoria sponges, no, it doesn't quite work that way.
It's a bit gooier, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. But
well,
thanks, though.
I'm going to do some. I'll do a bit of digging, because there's bound to be, and I can even ask Gwyneth, because she does a very lovely Victoria sponge, so she must have tips and hints about how to get in things level, because no one wants a wonky Victoria sponge.
Quite.
So, Perm, to go back to your question regarding slicing, we do have a cheese grater that doesn't just grate, it's actually got a slicer on it as well. So it's ideal for slicing cheese nice and straight and accurate, but and veg as well, yeah, for if you're doing things like your carrots and stuff. So and it's quite safe as well, you know. It's sharp, but it's not knife sharp. It's sharp enough to go through your vegetables, but it's not sharp enough to actually cause any damage. But I wouldn't go anywhere too close to it. Yeah, and I think that was just bought from Lakeland or anywhere where, you know, where you can get Asda, Asda Home, or Matalan, or anything that does utensils and kitchenware. Next time you're out and about, they don't just have the grating sizes. Some of them do have a slicer on them as well. And I think Russell's got the meat slicer, hasn't he? My brother's got a meat slicer for things like your deli meats, salami, pastrami, that type of thing, and it's very good at slicing roast beef as well. He's visually impaired. He's got RP, and he can use it very carefully, but he can find his way around it. I think it's a Ninja one, isn't it? I think we'll have to find out what the model of it is, and I'll actually share that as well, so anybody that likes to cut up roast dinners. Has anybody else got any questions, or want to share any advice, or would like to anything else?
Yeah, Paul.
Oh, sorry, Paul. Yes, you did want to jump in. Sorry, buddy.
It was just about them top table hobs, what are they called?
Oh, the tabletop. Yes, electric hob. Yes.
Yeah, and how big are they? How many rings do you get on them, and that kind of stuff? I'm just inquiring really, but I mean, I'm still getting used to what I can do in the token air fryer and whatnot, or what you can and can't. But just something to think about, in case I fancy trying that as well. But I don't know.
I think it's tabletop. You just plug it into your mains. Ross, correct me if I'm incorrect. I think it's got 2 rings on it.
Yeah.
And it just literally just sits on your worktop, doesn't it? You don't
Yeah.
have to plumb it in, or you don't have to fit it into your worktop. It just kind of sits on its own feet.
Yeah. Or I guess you could even go. I guess if you're using it instead of your oven's hobs, it could just plug in and sit on top of there like any hobs would. Yeah. So the one that I've seen anyway, it has 2 hobs. It just plugs into the electric, and it just has the usual knobs, but all like tactile, but they all provide sort of tactile and audio feedback on them.
Yeah.
Can we ask a question, please?
Are they sorry? Come on. Are they safe to use? Because you've got to, haven't you got to? Have you got to turn them on before it?
You may.
Sorry. Did someone else? Sorry, Paul.
Sorry
One second. Did someone else have a question? Sorry.
Yes.
John. Hi, John.
Can I ask about? I mean, you may have already addressed this, but can I use my iPhone? Is there an app to help me read labels on tins in the cupboard?
Yes, so you're an iPhone user. Ross, did you want to just recap on the Be My AI or even Seeing AI as well?
Yeah, I think, well, one that's available across Android and iPhone for sure is the app Be My Eyes, which a lot of people might have heard of it. It's traditionally an app whereby you could connect with a sighted volunteer, but in the last year or so, they've added a feature on the app called Be My AI. So essentially, when you launch the Be My Eyes app, there's a little tab in the menu bar at the bottom that says Be My AI, and that just uses your phone's camera just to take a picture of whatever it might be, and AI will, as long as you're connected to the internet, the AI will do its thing. Normally takes about 10 seconds, and then it provides a really detailed description of what you've taken a picture of. So me, for example, I used it just yesterday to take a picture of, what was it? It was a pack of vegan burgers, and so I took the picture of the back of the packet, and it just provided an overview of what information was on the back, so like the cooking instructions, the nutritional information, storage information, all read back to me via my screen reader. So
Okay.
I'd suggest using that, but obviously, like Mark said, there's Seeing AI, there's Google Lookout if you're on Android, but I think Be My Eyes, certainly for using your phone's camera, is by far the best that I've used anyway.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Sorry, Paul. We'll go back to you. Did you have another question?
Well, it was just when you turn it on, if you're preparing something, or before you prepare something, have you got to turn it on and let it warm up or anything, or
I personally never used it, but I think if it's an electric cooker, they do heat up quite quickly. But we have found that there is also a 1 hob induction tabletop hob as well, which may be slightly, obviously you need to buy the induction pots and pans to be able to use it. But this one may be slightly safer in terms of the actual hob itself doesn't get hot. Just whatever you're cooking inside the special pans and pots does, so when things take time to cool down, you're not putting your hand on it, or like, sometimes you do, is that still hot, and you put your hand on it without thinking about it, and it's hotter than you think it is, or you put a tea towel down on things. Personally, I'm not a fan of electric cookers for that particular reason. I don't know, one, where the hobs are, and 2, once the rings have died down, which is the only thing that I can actually see, once it's off, it still stays very, very hot. You know, so induction, I think someone did mention that they use a talking induction cooker. So, but if anyone wants to try the one hob as a bit of a taster before investing in a more stable, you know, version that fits in your kitchen, then that might be a route to go down, and we'll put that in the follow-up email as well, where you can get that one from. I think it's on the RNIB shop. So it's called it's a talking one. So they both do an electric one and an induction one.
Right.
Harry's got his hand up. Hi, Harry.
Hi. Just a comment on what you were saying there. With an induction hob, of which I have just a very limited amount of experience, you can actually get from Amazon a gadget, and I can't even remember what it's called, but if you use that, you can use all the pots and pans you already have that are not, for it to be induction usable, it has to be, I think, stainless steel. And that, you can get around that by buying, it's like a paddle with a handle. You put that on first, then put your pan on that, and that will get round the difficulty and save you having to spend a fortune on new pots and pans.
Oh, that's a very good tip. Thank you very much for that.
Okay.
We'll have a little look for that, because that is the one thing with the induction a cooker, where, you know, you will have to, you can't just use a normal frying pan on it. You do need to go out and buy the special pots and pans in order for it to actually work safely and successfully. So thanks very much for that tip, Harry.
Pleasure.
Excellent. Have we got any more hands up?
Not at the moment.
I have a question, please. It's Tash.
Yeah, no worries.
I was just thinking, actually, the one thing that I do struggle with is all of the herbs and spices. I'm pretty good at knowing them by smell, most of them. But I was wondering if anyone knows any brands that sell them in like very large print or that have Braille on them. Yeah, because I'd prefer to do that instead of use my phone, really. But most people just use their phone to get them to the label to get read out to them.
No, I've used the phone method personally myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we've got a whole spice rack, and I never know what's the right one for the right food.
You could also use a pen friend.
Yeah. Harry, what's that? The pen? Is that by
The RNIB sell them. It's a pen friend, because you can label almost anything with that in the kitchen or anywhere else, and it's your voice. And you can create a label. You can even get them that are laundry safe. But that you can do, and then you can put that on the box of your or the jar, and then just top up your jar. So you only do it once.
Yeah.
But you'll find you can label an awful lot more than just your herbs with that. So that's quite a useful labeling device.
Oh, right. I didn't know about that. That's good.
It's not inexpensive. It's not inexpensive, but it is a one-off. You know, it's a one-off purchase, and it is kind of useful. There's no question about that. You almost want to think, what else would I like to label? I mean, I've heard of people labeling their CD collections, if people still have such things. Pretty nearly anything you can label with this bit of kit. So it's certainly worth looking at.
Okay, thank you for that.
It's sort of like the next level of the sort of audio tins that I mentioned earlier. Obviously, those would just be for the use of something that lives in a tin. But yeah, the pen friend that Henry mentioned can be used, whatever you want. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good option there.
Excellent. No, well, I've heard of those label tags before, and they are very good, you know. And I don't know if people have heard of NaviLens, which is another very, very useful app for it's an app that you can download, and it's a embossed, kind of like a barcode, and I know that certain companies are using it. At the moment, it's used for a lot of things like bath products, shampoos, conditioners, you know, your washing powders and stuff like that. And it's very good because, you know, not only can it help you navigate to where they are in the supermarket, but they actually also tell you everything about the product. And I think there is one other company that's using something very similar, and I can't, but they're using it for Coleman's spice packet. So all of the Coleman's range will have something very similar on it. So if you're looking for Coleman's chili con carne packet, then you can use this app to help find it, and also you know, the cooking instructions and everything that also comes with it, and it's read out actually on your phone as well. So there are also other kind of barcode enabled apps, and I think that you can actually get sort of barcodes that you can, very similar to the Pen Friend, where you can just label everything up, name it what you want, and then you hover your phone over it, kind of like QR codes, and it will actually tell you whether it's beans, whether it's soup, whether it's and any other, you know, any other items. I think even MyFitnessPal, which is a nutritional app, if you're watching your weight or dieting, has a feature on it where you can record all of your dieting foods that you eat just by the barcode, and you just hover your phone over it, and it'll actually tell you exactly what it is, exactly how much it weighs, all the nutritional information. And if you've got an iPhone, you can use sort of speak content, and it'll actually read everything out for you as well. So MyFitnessPal is another really good app for recording, you know, nutritional information and stuff. So it's not all about the cooking, it's about what we eat as well.
Yeah.
Hi, Mark. I'll be able to ask a question, Ryan.
You all right, mate?
You all right, pal? How are you getting on?
Good. Yourself?
I know, bad. It was just a question to see whether, does anyone know of any like online blind cooking kind of classes or tutorials, or anyone on YouTube or anything?
Is that locally to where you are, up in sort of the Glasgow area,
no,
or
like,
just online?
Online, like just online, even.
I think there's lots of tutorials on YouTube, and there was this one lady that we had, that's a nutritional expert that we had on a peer group all a while back, and I think she has like an online blog and website where you can actually learn about nutritional food, and you know, what's good to eat, what's bad to eat, and how to cook healthy food. Even cooking healthy food in a microwave, you know, you can still have nutritional food. It doesn't have to be all processed. So I'll dig her name out, and any other online chefs that we might be able to find out as well. But also things like, you know, the Saturday morning shows always have a chef on, you know, they're always cooking healthy food. So, you know, like this morning, and some of the Saturday morning shows, they all have chefs on to help cook good food. So, you know, maybe check some of them out.
Is there any specifically like blind people? Do you know what I mean? Like, so they maybe give you like little tips or hints or anything while they're doing it, or does anyone know of any kind of YouTube channels or anything?
I think Ross mentioned Kim J when I asked earlier, who she makes videos on YouTube cooking for blind, visually impaired people. And I've actually just remembered a website called The Blind Kitchen, which I heard about a few years ago. I think it's two guys who are visually impaired, and they're chefs, and they have a really good website called The Blind Kitchen. That's just come to my mind.
Oh, that's great, thanks.
There was a lady I'm just trying to think of, and she's got a Facebook page, and I think it's called the RP Cooks Extraordinaire. I'll have to find, but I received an email from them in the week, so I'll find that out to see whether there is any information on their Facebook page for things like videos, or any time they've gone live or anything like that. So I'll find that as well.
Yeah, there's a lady called Rose. RP Cooks Extraordinaire page on Facebook.
Right, a lady called Rose. RP Cooks Extraordinaire. And she's got her own Facebook page, so I'll include that as well. It's 5 o'clock. Oh, sorry, 5 o'clock. Sorry, it's 8. It's 5 to 8. Well, it was 5 to 8. It's 8 o'clock now. Sorry. Has anybody got any final questions or any tips and hints before we say goodbye this evening? Any other questions? No?
Can I just say the best thing I've bought recently was an air fryer. I'd never used one till about 3 months ago, and I think it's absolutely wonderful and dead easy to use. And I'm talking.
I think air fryers are becoming the way forward now. Not only do they produce, healthy food, but they are very, very easy to use. And there is a
they're amazing
out there as well. Yeah, I think Paul said he's got the
Bill.
2-in-1. So
yeah,
we'll put the link into that if anybody wants to have a dabble in air frying, to cook their dinners. So
there's not much you can't cook in an air fryer.
No.
Yeah, we cooked a whole chicken in one.
You need to have a big one for that.
Maybe we'll get that in Scotland.
But before, well, thank you everybody.
Thank you and Caroline.
And before we go, there's just a couple of things from Retina UK. First thing is, please come and join us if you haven't already registered for our annual conference on the 28th of September. It's going to be held in Manchester this year, in Manchester Piccadilly at the Pendulum Hotel. It starts from 10 AM until 4:30 PM on Saturday the 28th. So if you want to come and say hello to me and Caroline and the rest of the team, then please come and join us. It's completely free. We've got some excellent speakers talking about research, and we've got a panel about the benefits of our peer support group network, and the lovely Perm that's joined us this evening is going to be a guest speaker on that, and so is Steve that's joined us as well. So so we thank both of them for their time and sharing their experiences. So yeah, please come and join us for that. And if anybody is in Newcastle and would like to join Colin Hetherington for the collaboration with Retina UK and Northern Alliance, that's going to be at the Bridge Hotel in Newcastle on Saturday, the 12th of October, and that starts from 1 PM until 7 PM, where you can actually get to meet and sample the delicious food of the blind baker, Gwyneth Boys. If anybody has any questions or queries, you can get in touch with me myself just by replying to the follow-up email or any of the reminders that I've actually sent out regarding this meeting. And you can also contact us via our helpline, which is 0300 111 4000, or you can contact us via info@retinauk.org.uk. Please check out our website as well for any other upcoming meetings. And if anyone's got any further queries, then please get in touch with me. So thank you very, very much to Ross for sharing his experience. Thanks to everybody for your tips and hints and advice. It's very, very much appreciated. We want everybody to be able to be independent and fulfilled in the kitchen, and empowered to be able to cook healthy food without support. So thanks again. A massive thank you to Caroline, who's been typing furiously away at logging all of your tips and hints and your items that you've mentioned. So thanks so much, and we will be seeing you again in November, when I will be doing a roundup from the London Site Village. I'll be wandering around looking at all the latest tech from Site Village, and I'm doing a rundown a couple of days after that. So that will be on the 7th of November. So thank you very, very much, everybody, for joining us. And we wish you a lovely evening. Take care.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
See you later,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this Retina UK peer group recording. If you have any questions or queries regarding its content, or you would like to leave us some feedback, then please do get in touch. You can contact us via our helpline on 0300 111 4000, call the office team on 01280 821 334, or alternatively, you can contact us via email at services@retinauk.org.uk. If you are interested in creating your own peer support group and assisting Retina UK to grow our peer support group network and join our amazing team of volunteers, then please do get in touch by contacting us at info@retinauk.org.uk and speak to a member of staff to see how you can get involved. Thanks again for listening, and please stay tuned for more peer support group recordings coming throughout this year. Take care and all the best. Bye for now.